I never thought that at the age of 63, I would be sitting in an empty living room, still smelling of my mother's soap, counting not the days until the weekend, but the number of pills until the next month. And you know what's the strangest thing? It wasn't my mom's death that broke me. It was those who were supposed to hold my hand, my family, my brothers and sister. When my mom passed away, it seemed like we were all supposed to become closer. But it turned out like a cheap dramag, she just died, and the devil in each of us raised his head. I'm sitting in her favorite chair, the one she used to watch Wheel of Fortune from, twirling her finger in the air as if she had a chance to win. The TV is off. The window is ajar. It's April, but everything feels wrong. Even the birds sing as if they are ashamed. There is no one at home, just me and a voice in my head asking, "Why did you come back, Ron?" And I answer myself, "Because you old fool, thought that justice was something real." My name is Ronald, but everyone just calls me Ron. I used to work in insurance. A good job, good promises, nothing to fulfill. I have a pension, though it is meager. My wife ran away, not in the literal sense. And I just woke up one morning and found a note in the kitchen instead of coffee. I need to think. He has been thinking for 15 years. He hasn't seen his son for 6 years, but he says he calls when there is a connection, and there is no connection, apparently never. Only my mom was always there. She cooked her soups, asked if he was cold. And now there is silence. I came back here because of a call. Linda, my younger sister, is in tears, crying, "Ronnie, Mom." I got in the car right away. The road from Ohio to North Carolina was like a trip through years, through memory. When I pulled into the yard, the first thing I saw was Jack, Elia, my older brother. He was standing there with a cigarette and a beer, and Linda with her phone in her hands, taking pictures of herself in front of the coffin. It wasn't my nerves that shook me. It was my conscience. Because I knew I should have been here earlier. But I was afraid, because with them you never know what hurts more, your soul or your pocket. My mom always saying, "You are blood." Never quarrel. Actions, but who listens to their mother when it comes to money? After her father's death, Linda stayed with her mother. Jack lived somewhere on a farm. Frank is the youngest. He doesn't work anywhere, but he's always in business. And me, away, I just took off. Away from it all. The funeral was cold, and not because of the weather. Moms don't cry at funerals. Everyone was on their phones. Linda was nervously scrolling through something. Jack was already asking who was going to get the car. I stood there and thought, why do I feel nothing but fear? Because I knew that my mom had left something for me. We talked about it. But I also knew that these three would not stop. They always thought I was the favorite. And now that she was gone, their eyes shone not with grief, but with lust. In the evening after the funeral, I was alone. Consequences are I went to the kitchen and opened the old drawer where my mother kept her letters. There was one addressed to me. "Ron, if you're reading this, I'm probably not with you anymore. I did everything I could to protect you. I know that your brothers and sister will never forgive me." The rest of the letter was cut off. Someone tore out the end of the letter. I sat there holding that piece of paper and thinking, what if she managed to change her will? What if they already knew? And then it hit me, because I realized that I was already surrounded, and I was alone. The next morning, Linda announcing, my mom said before she died that she wanted me to have the house. Because I lived with her for the last 10 years. I swallow. And the will. She looks me straight in the eye. "It's in the works. You'll get a copy soon." And Jack just smiles and "Don't think about it, Ron. We all want peace. But everyone has to get theirs." Then I remembered my mom's words again. If something goes wrong, don't be silent. Because silence is also a sin. I did not know that they had already prepared everything. That the will would not be mine. That the lawyer would disappear. That the neighbors would hate me, that I would be left without a home. But the moment I stood on the threshold of the kitchen and listened to Linda making coffee, I felt that my mother had left something behind, and that the devil she always jokingly talked about, he stayed, and it seems he was not alone. And have you ever noticed that the cruelest things are said quietly, without swearing, just in one sentence, with a smile, and you do not immediately realize that you have just been dismembered. And when you do, it's too late. Oh, and no one will save you, because everyone thinks you are alive. But you are not alive anymore. You just walk around. After the funeral, the atmosphere in the house became slippery, as if you were not at home, but in an interrogation room, and everyone spoke in a normal tone. But their eyes were like those of predators. They were not quarreling, they were negotiating, among themselves. AA and I was just sitting in the kitchen, which still smelled like my mother's borscht, trying to understand why I wanted to run away. Frank, the youngest, sat down across from me. He put down a cup of coffee and said, "You shouldn't take it personally. We are not enemies." And then it hit me like an old ceiling. Because when someone says that they are not your enemy, it always means that they are preparing something very shitty for you. Linda was sitting on the porch, twisting the keys to her mother's car. "What? I thought you weren't coming," I said. She smiled, on it would have been easier. And here's the truth, as simple as buckwheat without salt. I was sitting on my mother's old couch and remembering how Linda used to cry when I took a toy away from her as a child. We used to fight, make up, play. And now she tells me that my existence is a complication. How did this happen? And did time make us enemies? Or have we just always been like this, only my mother covered for us? In the evening, I found a letter hidden in an old recipe book. It was in my mother's handwriting, but unsigned. There were a few phrases. "Don't trust anyone, even those who cry. They think I don't know about the conspiracy. I wanted to leave everything to you, because you are the only one who does not sell your soul for a new car." It was proof, and at the same time a trap. I went to the kitchen, and there Jack and Frank were discussing something. They are silent when I come in. They were smiling, and then they say those words again, "We are all family, and everything will be fair." And I sit there and think, honestly, is when they tell me the truth. And you give me only words, quiet, poisonous words. I decided to talk to Jack, for once, as a man to a man. "Listen," I said, "I didn't come for the money. I came because Mom wanted me to." "Of course," he replies, "but if there was no inheritance, would you have come too?" And that's it. One line. One needle in the heart. Because I wasn't sure why I was here. I was silent, and he adding, "We will share everything. Just not right now, we need time. And time is like a slow acid. It eats away at the truth." The next day, I woke up to find my things gone from the house. They were just gone. My bag, my sweater, even my toothbrush. I asked Lindag, "Have you seen my things?" "Maybe someone cleaned up." Everyone here is cleaning something. And here I am, standing in my room like a stranger. And Jack walks in and throws me a smile. "Are you sure you want to stay here?" I went out into the yard. I sat on a bench. And here's what I thought. No one betrays you like your own people. Because other people at least do it openly. And ours put a knife in your back with a kiss on your forehead. Quietly. No screaming, no drama. Just word by word. And a day after day. And now you no longer have not only your inheritance. You don't have your place in the house where you grew up. In the evening, I went to my mother's room for the last time. Her scent was still there. The same slippers were by the bed. And there was a key under the pillow. What does it do? I don't know. But something in me told me that it was the last chance. I took it and didn't tell anyone. Because if their words are poison, then my silent plan is an antidote. Or a trap. We'll see. Have you ever seen the faces of people who were expecting a treasure and got a muzzle? The one with poppy seeds. Not the one that smells like Christmas, but the one that smells like defeat. That was the face of my family that day. And, honestly, I don't know whether to cry or laugh. They gathered in the living room. Linda dressed in black, as if she was burying her mother for the second time. Jack opened an old file and laid the documents on the table. Frank filmed everything on his phone, he said, for transparency. And I just stood by the window watching the evening turn gray in the garden and felt that this moment would change everything. So, Jack began, there's a copy of the will. The original is at the notary's. Read it, Linda said, but loudly. I, Doris Ann Miller of sound mind and firm memory, hereby give my house and land to the address. Everyone held their breath. To my son, Jack, provided he does not sell the property within 5 years. Otherwise, it becomes the property of the Sunshine Bible Mission. Frank closed his eyes. Next, Linda whispered, I'm giving my car to Linda, my jewelry to Frank. And finally, and everything else my son, who asked for nothing but was always there, will receive after he finds the key and opens what is important not to open but to understand. Silence. What kind of riddles? Linda asked nervously. Is this some kind of test? What am I supposed to be looking for? I asked. The key, Frank muttered. And then I remembered. That little key hidden under the pillow in my mom's room. It was in my pocket. Linda came closer to me. This was your idea. I'm as surprised as you are, I answered. But you have the key. Mom singled you out again. Her voice trembled with irritation. Maybe because I was talking to her. And you were just waiting for her to leave, I said. What did you say? Jack exploded. What everyone is afraid to admit. She knew who was worthy of what. And you're the best. No, I just didn't play the part. And I was honest with her. I went to the old closet and opened the bottom shelf. There was a small metal box there. I picked up the key. It fit. A click and I opened it. Inside was a notebook. It was old, faded, with a cover that said, Personal. Do not read if you do not really love me. I opened the first page, my mom's handwriting, and at the top, the title, One Last Gift. For you, if you are still yourself. It was not a diary. It was a memoir. She wrote about her childhood, about my father, whom we hardly knew, about how she was afraid of leaving her children without a home, and about each of us individually. The Ameshi wrote about Meg, my oldest son, the most silent one. But it was he who always noticed when I was crying in the kitchen and brought me tea. He is not rich, not a hero, but real. About Jacka, strong, determined. But if you give him power, he'll become tough. About Lindig, talented. But her heart is like concrete. She measures everything with her heart. About Frank, my laugh, my weakness. But I'm afraid he'll turn out like his father. If you, on the last page, if you are reading this, it means that I was able to give you the most important thing. Not money, but the truth, and the rest is up to you. This is not a legal document, Jack shouted. It's manipulation. It's just Mom's diary. It's her soul, I said. No, it's theater. She made you a hero and us villains. Or maybe you made yourself villains, I replied. Frank was silent. Linda looked at me, and there was no longer anger in her eyes. There was something resentment. The kind that lives for a long time. At night I heard someone rummaging through the closet. In the morning, the notebook was gone. And there was a note on the refrigerator. Not all stories should be read. Some should be burned. The handwriting was not mine. It means that someone decided that the truth is superfluous, and I was left with an empty box. And the silence that screams louder than any words. Imagine you go on Facebook, wanting to see how your grandson performed in a school play, and instead you see yourself, in a video, in someone else's story, in which you are the main villain, and the world is liking it. I woke up early. I made coffee, opened my laptop, it's a habit, and I immediately saw myself, on video. Frank filmed a fragment with the opening of the box. How I hold my mom's notebook, how I read her words. But he embedded the credits like in a TV show. Manipulator. He got everything. He plays on pity. And the caption, meet him. This is my brother. He stole my inheritance, and he didn't blink. There were over 100,000 views. The comments are even worse. Classic. One takes everything, the others are silent. Older mom, 3 kids, 1 parasite. If you read your mother's diary out loud, you are not a son, you are a publisher. And the worst, repost it, let everyone see how families are being destroyed from the inside. I was shaking, and I tried to drink coffee, but my hand wouldn't hold the cup. I called Linda, she didn't pick up. Jack hung up on me. Only Frank answered. "What do you want?" he said coldly. "What was that? The truth? It hurts, doesn't it?" It's not true. It's an edit. Lie, just like I didn't mean anything, I was just there. Image, people need to know. This video blew up our neighborhood like a firecracker in a bedroom. The next day at the supermarket, Mrs. Grayson came up to me. "Oh, Mr. Miller, I'm so sorry for your brothers and sister. And excuse me, I saw the video. Your mom looked like a saint. And you." I left. I couldn't say anything. In the evening, I found another post. Linda had written an article. How I lost my inheritance because of my cold brother. The photo is an old one from the 90s. We are all smiling by the Christmas tree. And the caption. One of us was holding a knife behind his back. Guess who? I hardly left the house for a whole week. Messages poured into private messages, comments, even my phone. Someone wrote, "How do you sleep on a stolen pillow?" And someone wrote simply, "Karma will come. Make some tea." I could neither eat nor sleep. It seemed that the whole world was looking at me through a crooked mirror. And in this mirror I was different. A twisted reflection. I decided to write to Linda. She agreed to meet me. We sat down in a coffee shop. She was steady, confident. "What do you want?" A conversation. No Facebook. No cameras. Just person to person. And you are a person. Linda. You know what hurts the most? That you didn't even defend yourself. You didn't explain yourself. You didn't say, "It's not true." You just disappeared. Because I don't want to prove the truth by cursing. And I don't want to be silent anymore. I'm tired of being a good girl who keeps everything to herself. But why? Publicly? Because that's the only way anything has weight now. If it's not in the movie, it didn't happen. We fell silent. Nearby, a couple was laughing, showing each other memes, and I got scared. Because our pain had become content. The next day, I got a call from my mother's lawyer. No, did you know that there is an online petition to revise the will? Revise? But this is. Social pressure is a great force. If enough signatures are collected, the court can take it into consideration. I just kept quiet. The world had finally changed, and not in my favor. In the evening, I decided to record a video response. I sat down in front of the camera. I was silent for a long time. Instead of making excuses, I said, "What if I'm really bad? What if I'm just tired of being good?" And he turned off the camera. He didn't upload it, because it seems that the worst thing is not when people lie about you. It's when you don't know where the truth is anymore. Every family has its own golden bone. For some, it's an antique set. For others, it's an engraved watch. Ours is the land, 5 acres near the old lake, and a letter with a price of $85,000. It seems like a piece of land. But he destroyed everything else we had. I found this letter by accident. It was in an old box labeled household stuff. It was a yellowed page with the words "sale and purchase" on the top, and the date was 98. The buyer is a certain David Carter. The seller is my mother, and amounting $85,000. And a note at the end, for grandchildren. The property is not transferable, but remains in trust until they reach adulthood. I froze. This plot had never been in the will. We all thought it had long been lost, overgrown, and rotted away along with the old plans. But here it is, and it looks like it's still ours. I called Jack. "Do you remember something about the land by the lake?" "What about it?" And it's still ours. And the letter says it's for the grandkids. Wait, what the hell? I thought it was sold. It was. But not quite. It's been put in trust. For the kids. Jack was silent. And then he said something that made me wary. "You better not tell Frank about this. He's already invested in the neighborhood." I found David Carter through my mom's old phone book. He worked as a realtor in the 90s. Now he's an old man, lives outside the city, and runs an apiary. We met in his yard, Mrs. Miller. She was a wise woman. She wanted everything for her grandchildren. Did you buy the land? No. We signed an agreement on a temporary transfer for preservation. She didn't trust banks. She wanted the land not to be lost in the papers. And now, the land is still legally yours, but I received several calls. One of your relatives said that the agreement had disappeared. He asked me to reissue it, but I refused. Which relative? I don't know. He sounded angry. Maybe your brother. I gathered everyone in the living room of my parents' house. Jack, Linda, Frank, me. I put the letter on the table. Someone knew. Someone called Carter. Someone wanted to put it away quietly. Frank was the first to snap. Hungura, here you playing detective again. Why me? Angry because I can do math. Because you're the one who invested in that neighborhood. It's not a crime, it's business. But what about the inheritance our children were supposed to get? Maybe we should see which of us has children first. That was a blow below the belt. I have no children. And he knew it. But he said it anyway. Linda interrupted. Enough. This isn't about you or him. This is about what Mom wanted. And we should have heard her. Jack adding, if the land is really still ours, let's sell it. Equally, everyone gets an equal share. And that's it. But Frank was silent. His silence was louder than our shouting. Linda called me at night. I can't sleep. I can't sleep thinking about that land. Me neither. What if Mom knew we were going to fight like this? And that's why she hid the deal in the little things. Maybe. Or maybe she just believed that we would remember who we are. And we are people. And that means that $85,000 means more than a family photo. The next day, I went to my parents' house again. I went through the attic, the pantry, even the garage, and I found it. An old safe. Inside was an instruction from my mother. Her handwriting. If you are reading this, it means that I no longer control anything. The land is for the future, not for quarrels. If you can't agree, bury the key. And there was a small golden key nearby. I held it in my hand as a proof. But I felt it like a burden. In the evening, I met Frank again. I put the letter and the key in front of him. Your turn. Make up your mind. We either return to Mom's will or we go out completely. He took the key. He looked at, and he's setting, or maybe let it rot with the rest. I did not answer, because the main issue now is not the land. It's about us, and what has become of us. It used to smell like coffee and vanilla. Now it smelled like danger. Sarah, my first, my great, my fatal. And, as it turned out, she was not only my ex. She was also the ex of one of my brothers. Amo and I saw her by accident. It was cold. I was standing in line for coffee. And suddenly this voice, George. I didn't turn around right away. At first I thought I was imagining things, but it was too familiar. Subtle, a little mocking, or like someone who always knows something more than you do. I turned around and there she was. Sarah, the same one who left me in 2007, leaving me only a postcard saying, "You don't know how to love," and the key to her apartment. Sarah, and I didn't think I'd see you in this city again. And I didn't think so either. So are you all still fighting over the inheritance? How do you know about the inheritance? Our Jack said something once. Have you seen Jack? She was silent for a few seconds. We dated a little. Last year. 6 months, and maybe a little more. And then I realized it wasn't just a love thing. It was something else. If Sarah was with Jack, then she knew more than she was telling. And it's not a given that Jack was telling her the truth. Or, he didn't say anything at all. Or did you meet Sarah? Jack hesitated. It was a fling for 6 months. Look, we're adults. We can make mistakes. Did she know about the land? No, I don't think so. Did she tell you to quietly get rid of the Carter deal? Silence. You don't understand. She was in a difficult situation then. And you were in a stupid one. I left, slamming the door. It was hell inside. And not just from anger. I felt betrayed twice at once when I was young, and again right now. I met her again. You knew that the land was still in the family's name. Where did you get that accusation? Because you were always one step ahead. She smiled. George, I could sell you all air and you'd still be thanking me. Did you? No, but almost. Almost. She took a key out of her purse. A small, golden key. Just like the one I found in my mom's safe. Where did you get it? Your mom gave it to me. A long time ago. She said, if it doesn't work out with my people, maybe at least you'll be treated like a human being. You mean? She trusted me more than any of you. I was shaken. This is not just a key. It's a responsibility. And yet another proof that we didn't know even a tenth of the truth about our own mother. That night I didn't sleep. I remembered how Sarah and I were lying on the floor in the old house, watching old movies on the projector, and planning to build a small workshop on the lake. It was on that particular plot of land. She said, I would like this place to belong to children. Ours. And I said, then we have to do something to make it survive. And so 20 years passed, and we both destroyed what we wanted to preserve. The next morning, Sarah came to my house, unannounced. I'm getting out of this town. Forever, that's your style. But before I do, I want to leave you something. She pulled out an envelope. It contained copies of another contract, this one for land. Same David Carter, same amount. I made a copy in 2008. Why now? Because now I know for sure you won't. She kissed me on the cheek and left. Without looking back, I was sitting at the table. I had 2 keys in front of me. One from my mother, one was from her, and neither of them opened anything simple. Only an even deeper past, and even harder decisions. My mother never trusted people, but she trusted technology. And now this paranoia of hers, this love of safes and cameras, has become the only reason why I haven't gone crazy yet. I got into the habit of coming to her house at night. When it was quiet, when no one was home. I would just sit in her old armchair and look at the ceiling. She always said, if you want to know the truth, first sit in silence. It is louder than any excuse. And so, sitting in this silence, I finally noticed a small black dot under the shelf. A camera, not a new one, but active. The LED flickered so slightly that not every eye would have caught it. I pulled out a ladder, unscrewed the panel, and saw a mini camera connected to an old recording device in the pantry. There was a flash drive. It was as small as a fingernail, but it seemed to weigh as much as a whole house. They were laid 5 files. They were labeled simply ONI, TWO, THEA, 4FV. I clicked on O&E. The picture is a corridor. Part of the living room is visible. The date is November 27, 2022. Jack, my brother, he is standing by a cabinet taking out a box, taking something from it is not clear what exactly, and putting it in his pocket. Then he takes out a sheet of paper, reads it, tears it up, and throws it in the trash. Then, Kitty, my sister, sitting by the phone. She's crying. If he finds out about this money, we'll both be taken out of the story. I can't leave it like this. It's an inheritance. Mom, promise to us. I pressed 3. Sarah, my old love. She's in the kitchen. She's on speakerphone with someone. Look, I've done everything I can. I showed him the key. But that's not all. That's not the safe, there's another. They're the one in the basement under the tiles. Do you remember it? I pressed 4 and 5E. But there were only empty rooms, long hours of recording, the silence, or the rusty tick-tock of a clock on the wall. I took a flashlight and went to the basement. This is the type of basement where you can still smell the 60s. Cardboard, old cans, broken Christmas tree lights, and there was a stove. The one that moves a little when you step on it. I picked it up with a crowbar, and under it a metal lid. A safe, the same small key that my mom left in the jewelry box, fit right away. Inside was a pile of papers. They're not just any papers. There were copies of contracts, bank statements, even a cassette tape with the words, "Jack, you betrayed me." I sat down on the floor. Everything was mixed anger, relief, fear. Aim because now I knew that everything I was feeling was real. It was not paranoia. It was not a guess. It was a documented fact. I called Kitty. Hi, everything okay? I have a video. What video? The one where you say it's an inheritance. Mom promised. To us. Silence. Or have you been watching me? No. Mom was. What are you going to do with it? I don't know yet. But I certainly wasn't going to give them what they wanted to steal. I went back to the safe and opened it again, because I noticed that there was another groove in the wall. And there, the second key fit. The one Sarah had given me. And now I wasn't sure I wanted to know what happened next. But it was too late to stop. My mom used to say, a trial is not about the truth. It's about who has the most evidence and the best suit. I laughed at the time. And now I was standing in the courtroom. And only my brother was laughing. I filed a lawsuit, because it was enough to be silent. So the flash drive from the camera, the documents from the safe, even Sarah's recording, all of this formed the basis of the case. The lawyer said, this is not a case. This is thunder. You won't leave them a chance. I believed him. Like a fool. The first day was like a theater. Jack came in an expensive suit. Kitty with perfect makeup and tears in her eyes. We played victims. I looked as if I had come out of the basement exhausted, tired, but stubborn. The judge was an old woman with a stone face. She was silent for the first 10 minutes, and then asking, do you want to prove that your mother was under pressure? I want to prove that she left clear instructions, and these two destroyed them. Good. We're listening. Jack came out confident. He said my mom wasn't in her right mind. She'd get dates wrong, forget names. For the last year, she told me she could see my dad in the mirror, and he died in '98. I almost exploded. But the lawyer squeezed my shoulder, quiet. Not now. Kitty said that Mom promised to divide everything equally, that all the tapes were edited, that she had never talked about safes, and that I had been a manipulator since I was a kid. The judge nodded. She was writing something. I sat there, my head pounding. You did not endure for this. This is not why you endured everything. I showed the video. I brought documents. I read excerpts from my mother's notebook where she had written in her own handwriting. If something happens, the safe is under the tile. It's true. The judge was listening. Her face was like concrete. No pity, no sympathy. She just listened and twirled the pen in her fingers. And then a surprise. Jack's lawyer submits a certificate. Signed by a doctor, it says that Mom was in a state of cognitive decline. The date is 3 weeks before her death. I've seen this filth. The signature looked forged. But officially, it was a medical document. The judge leaned in. This changes everything. We have to reconsider the admissibility of all her written instructions. I was silent. My lips were tight. My eyes were burning. And my heart was squeezing like a spring. Hey, does this mean that everything she left behind doesn't matter anymore? The court was adjourned for the day. I went outside. I drank coffee at the vending machine. Sarah came up to me. I didn't know they would do this. No, did you think they would just say, yes, we're guilty? There was another flash drive. What? It turned out that Mom was recording with another camera, and Sarah had the flash drive. She didn't show it to me. I was afraid. I'm there too. But it doesn't matter now. I held the proof in my hands. The real thing, the last one. I went back the next day. I asked the court to see another file. There's my mom talking directly to the camrag. If you're watching this, it means that Jack and Kitty have already done something again. The safe is under the tile. I left everything to him. They want everything. But I want you to know that I saw it. I knew. I chose. The courtroom fell silent. The judge did not speak for a long time. I'm taking the case for consideration. The decision will be in a week. A week later, I received a letter. Hey, did you win? No. The inheritance is to be divided equally between the 3 parties. The instructions are recognized as emotional, but not legally binding. I sat with this piece of paper in my hands and realized I won the truth. But I lost everything else. There are houses where you sleep. There are houses where you live, and there are houses that live in you, and when they are taken away from you, it is not bricks that are taken away, but lungs. Ekalua, the court decision, was like a cold shower in the middle of January. The Webster family estate is divided among 3 heirs. That is, I get a third. But in reality, nothing, because there is only one house, and there are 3 lives. A week after the trial, my brother called me. We have to sell it. It's our house, Jack. Not anymore. It's just an asset. That word, asset, cuts like a blade. As if my kid's room were an item in a bank catalog. I came for the last time. I packed things in boxes like a thief on speed. I took down the photos that my mother had hung on the walls back in the 90s. Each one was like a slap in the face. There I am with a bicycle. There's my mom baking a pie. There we are all together. Before everything went bad, a kitty is at the door. She's wearing a white sweater and holding a coffee. Hi, what are you doing here? I want to get my mom's china. She promised me. I nodded silently. She can have it. Let her take whatever she wants. There's nothing left inside. Are you still mad at us? She asked. No. I just don't think of you as family anymore. It's not fair. And what you did was fair. She looked down. She spun her cup. She left without another word. I stayed the night. I slept on the mattress. The voices of the house whispered from every corner. Every crack in the floor was someone from the past reminding me again, you were here. But now you are not here. I dreamed about my mom. She was sitting in the kitchen drinking tea and saying, I wanted you to have each other, not money. You know, Mom, it didn't work out. At dawn, I walked the corridors again. I ran my finger over the rough plaster in the bathroom, where I used to write the name of the girl I fell in love with as a child. I knocked on the old desk where I wrote letters from the camp, and went out. They arrived in an hour. I'm a young realtor with a shiny tablet. It's a great property. You can make a loft or a studio here, I nodded. But inside I was seething. This is not a loft. This is the kitchen where my mom used to make soup 5 days in advance. I realize that even if I had $1 million now, I wouldn't buy this house back. Because it's not mine anymore. It was taken away when my brother said, this is an asset. They finished him off when the judge said, the decision has been made, and the silence afterwards killed him. When I was sitting in the car, I remembered a moment. I was 10 years old. I came home from school alone for the first time. My mom left a note in the kitchen. You are an adult now. But don't forget that your home is always waiting for you. I still have that note in my wallet. And it is now the only thing I have left. I moved to a 1-bedroom apartment. It was cheap. It's a bit cramped. But it has electricity and gas, and walls that have never seen anything. Maybe it's even better. But every night I lie down and hurg, you are an adult, but home is waiting for you. And I think, and what if it doesn't wait anymore? Sometimes the best answer is silence. Not because there is nothing to say, but because everything has already been said and spoiled. I woke up in a new apartment. There was no coffee smell coming from the kitchen. There was no cat asking for breakfast. There was no mom. There was no home. There were only walls. Naked, like my future. Sunday used to be a day off, garden, soup, calling my mom, watching TV, and napping. Now it's Google. How to find yourself after 50. How to forgive when you can't forget. How much does it cost to rent a trailer? No, not from my brother, and not from my sister. From a lawyer. Something to sign. Something to redistribute. There was another handwritten line. Sign it when you're ready. I'm not ready. And I probably won't be anymore. On the weekend, I went to the park. There was a fair. Cheese jam handicrafts. I approached a stand with wooden products. And there was Vivian behind the counter. My first love, 40 years ago, we walked together from graduation holding hands. And now she was holding a hammer. Is it really you? She asked. Are you still making these watches? But are you still late? We smiled. But her eyes did not. It was fall in them. We agreed to meet the next evening. Without any expectations. Just to talk, She brought lasagna. I brought cheap wine. We ate on a cardboard table from IKEA. As she looked at the empty walls and said nice. You can start over here. I didn't answer. Everything fell apart for me after my divorce, she said. For me after my will. So love and death are the biggest destroyers, then? No. Silence is the greatest destroyer. She nodded, and then she was silent. I lay there looking at the ceiling, and I thought I was ashamed. Not for what had happened, but for the way I was feeling about it. For still waiting for an apology. For not being able to let go. And for the fact that time is passing and I'm still standing. Jack, Kitty, I don't want a war, but you took my home, and I have not forgiven you for that. Even though I'm trying. I clicked save as draft. She brought me a watch. Handmade, so you won't be late anymore. To where? To the future. I still have it on my shelf. It's the only jewelry in the apartment. Eka, Mom, if you were here, you would say everything will work out. But I know it won't. Some things just rot in silence. I'm trying to move on with my life, even without a home, even without a family, but with the memory of you. And with a small hope that someday, when we are gone, we will meet where there are no wills, lies, or divisions, where there is only love. And then, nothing. No one called. No one wrote. No one apologized. But Vivian came again. And she said, let's go to the movies. We'll be like teenagers. And we went. I'm still in pain, but I'm breathing. I still grieve. But sometimes I laugh. I still remember. But not every day anymore, because home is not a place. It is people who will not betray you. And if you don't have them, you become a home for yourself. If this story touched you, go to and subscribe to the channel. Because there is still more truth to come. Elena, and even more silence that needs to be heard. They say that curses are fictions, that they are fairy tales to scare children. But what happened to our family is not a fairy tale. It is a long marathon of insults, silence, and greed. Sometimes I'm thinking maybe someone really cursed us. My grandfather, Harold, had 3 brothers, and every single one of them died without speaking to each other for the last 20 years. The reason was the farm. A piece of land on a slope, and nothing grew there but anger. My mom said that after that the curse ran in the family. After my mother's death, when the will revealed the reality, I thought the worst thing was injustice. But no. The worst thing is realizing that you no longer have a family. They are there. They are alive. With phones, profiles, statuses. But not yours. I dreamed of a house, our old one. My mom was standing on the porch, smiling. Behind her were my brothers and sisters. All of us were little. We were playing, laughing, making mud pies. And then a shadow fell on the house, and everything disappeared. Only a sound remained, a dull knock. Like a coffin being knocked on. Could I have changed anything? Could I have said something earlier? To forgive him, not to argue. But the answer is always the same. None of us wanted to be the first to give in. Because in the family curse, the main condition is not to listen. Only to prove. Yes, I went. Just once. She asked, do you want to forgive them? No. I want them to understand. Then you will be in pain for a long time. I didn't go back, because I didn't want to hear the truth. From my niece. My brother Jack's daughter. Hi, Uncle. I don't know who's to blame for your fight, but I'm sad that I don't have you in my life anymore. I remember how you used to make the most delicious pumpkin soup. I sat there like a fool with that letter, and I was crying, not for the inheritance, but for those he lost. Facebook reminded Meg 8 years ago family barbecue. The photo shows Mom, Jack, Kitty, and me, all smiling. Everyone seems normal. I looked at the photo for a long time, and then I accidentally clicked, share to story, and I wroting, it happened, and it's not coming back. Kitty read it, she left a sad face. Maybe it's really a curse. Or a curse isn't magic, it's a repetitive action, so why can't we stop them? Because everyone thinks they're the exception. That their offenses are the real ones, and everyone else has to make concessions. I didn't argue. I knew she was right. My friend has a similar situation. His brother sold his house without consent. They haven't spoken for 15 years. Oh well, what can I do if he's an asshole? He told me. And I thought, yes, we are all in this trap. A few months ago, my uncle died. His son didn't even come. Let him rot without me, he said, and I felt a shrinking inside, because I realized that's exactly where we're going. I go for walks. I drink coffee. I read, I write. I watch TV shows where there are always reunions, where everyone hugs each other in the last episode. But that's a movie. Or we have a family curse. You can lose money, a house, even your memory. But the worst thing is to lose the feeling that you belong to someone. That someone will say, "This is my brother." No matter what. And the curse. I say it is not in spells or old portraits on the wall. It is in the fact that each new generation thinks that it will be different. And then it repeats the same thing. If you recognize something of your own in this story, subscribe to the channel. Because maybe the next story will be about how we learn to forgive. Or at least to speak up in time.